In 2019, before everything went to hell with lockdowns and border closures, me and two of my mates, Liam and Reese, went on a road trip through Eastern Europe. We were in Romania when we heard about this abandoned theme park near a small mountain town. Reese had seen it on some Reddit thread and said it was this old family-owned park that shut down back in the 90s after a fire killed 3 staff members. The post said most of the rides were still there, but rusted, overgrown, and really creepy. We got there around 4 in the afternoon while the sun was still out. The entrance gate had been torn down years ago, so it was just a bent metal arch with faded Romanian writing and peeling cartoon faces painted over rust. When we started looking around, it was everything you'd expect. Busted bumper cars sunk into the mud, carousel horses snapped at the neck, and vines crawling up roller coasters. We spent about an hour just walking around, taking photos and laughing. Liam climbed up one of the old funhouse stairs and nearly went through a rotted plank. He was joking about it when Reese pointed toward the center of the park. We turned in a hurry and seen some guy standing out in the open wearing an old clown costume. We just kept looking straight at him, and that's when he started waving slowly. We didn't really know how to react because the vibe was totally changed now, and I was starting to feel really creeped out. I thought it had to be someone playing a joke. We weren't the only people who knew about this place, so it could just be another explorer messing with us. We waited a bit longer to see if whoever it was would leave, but they didn't. They just kept standing there slowly waving, not saying a word. Reese decided to call out, but got no reaction. He then tried waving his arms like an idiot and shouted something in broken Romanian that probably didn't even make sense. We eventually ended up turning away and laughing it off as just some weirdo living out here trying to play a prank. But about 10 minutes later, we were starting to near the old teacup ride when Liam freezes again and starts pointing. Me and Reese look where he's pointing and see that same clown from earlier, standing under the Ferris wheel staring at us. It didn't take long this time before I realized something was really off. Reese tried walking toward him, saying maybe he was squatting on the land and just wanted us gone. I tried to stop him because we didn't know if this guy was dangerous or crazy, but Reese didn't listen. He was the kind who always had to act tough. He got pretty close before shouting, "You all right, mate? We're leaving here soon. Don't mind us." The clown didn't seem to react at first until he slowly turned his head. Reese was about to shout something else, but was cut off when the clown suddenly started sprinting towards us. It caught us all off guard, and we fumbled while trying to turn and run as fast as we could. Everything seemed like a panicked blur as we ran through the weeds, past the rides, jumping rusted gates and old trash bins, not stopping until we got back to where we entered and was sure the clown had stopped chasing us. While catching our breath, we started laughing nervously like idiots while the adrenaline dump started to set in. We kept saying it had to be a squatter trying to scare people out, or someone with GoPros set up trying to film a viral scare prank. Reese chimed in and said, "Did anyone else see how he was running?" I said, "Yeah. I've never seen someone run like that before. Even though he seemed fast, it looked like his limbs were loose and weirdly long." We all stared at each other, probably thinking the same thing. And then, Liam suggested we better head back to our lodge before it gets dark. Once we got back to the lodge, which was only about 10 minutes out of town, we started to settle down from what happened earlier and drank some cheap vodka and crashed early. It was probably only a few hours later at about 1 a.m. when Reese shook me awake. He looked pale and terrified and whispered for me to look at the window, which had one of those semi-see-through curtains covering it. I looked closely and had to rub my eyes a bit before I could make out what looked to be someone's outline on the other side of the window. I looked over at Liam and he whispered, "It's the clown." My heart sank into my chest with fear. I reached for my phone and was about to call the local authorities when I looked back up and noticed the clown was gone. We all paused for a moment and then made our way slowly to the window and looked out to see if he was still close by. A couple more minutes went by and we didn't see or hear anything else. Liam asked if I was still going to call someone and report this, but Reese spoke up and said there isn't much point because nothing really happened to us, and whoever it was would be long gone before anyone gets here. Liam and I ended up agreeing, plus it wasn't that long before daylight and we'd be able to leave. So we stayed up talking till sunrise, while making sure the clown didn't return, and when it was bright enough, we went outside and checked the porch. There was no sign anyone had been there. But what was utterly terrifying is that the door hadn't been locked properly last night. We literally only noticed in the morning when we first went outside. All it would have taken was one push, and that clown could have walked right in. Knowing that gave me a cringe, scared feeling realizing how close we could have been to being assaulted, or worse, by some psycho that was stalking us. Once we made sure we had everything and the car was packed, we got out of there and didn't look back. We still talk about it from time to time when we catch up, and we all agree it's probably the scariest thing that's happened to us while traveling.